2002.
Our family friend had two daughters, Polly and Molly.
Oh.
That's interesting. That can't get confusing, right? Polly and Molly.
Polly and Molly.
So when my daughter was pregnant with her first child, she had a doula whose name was Penny Lane, and she had two siblings with other things that were with Lane, you know, I don't remember. Memory, one was named Memory, and I just think it's cool.
Yeah. I grew up in Lehighton, and our next door neighbor, the Klauses, their daughter was Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Santa, just S-A-N-N-A, Santa Claus. Can you believe that?
So
they were great people, but Santa Claus.
I had a colleague, his name was Harvey Bilger, and he had a daughter that they named Babette. Babette Bilger.
Babette? I don't know, I gotta think about it.
How are you, Carol?
How are you? Can I have you sign in? I did. You did, perfect. And Adam, did you sign in? No. No? Okay. Just so I can, I'm gonna do it.
Carol and I joined the JCs at the same time.
So I've had one cataract done, the second one is tomorrow. So one eye is fixed and the other eye is not.
Hey, Robert.
People swear that's a good operation to
With
have.
the Eagle Scout project, I understand, the money from the handbook, do you understand? Yeah, Santa, okay. Okay, good, so if you wanna, when we get to, you maybe we give an update on that? If you don't mind.
I'm getting my first thing.
You ready to go?
Which.
Okay, why don't we get started, folks? Everybody hopefully had a nice day. Look at the eclipse, as was said.
Oh.
Not as exciting as everyone thought.
Yeah, a little cloudy.
We survived, and we'll see everybody in 20 years, right?
I forgot all about it.
Oh.
You mean the
Can I
rapture?
just remind everybody when you're speaking to turn on the microphone? It's very hard to hear.
There you go. Okay, so we'll start over. Evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a good day. Enjoyed the eclipse. Why don't we get to business? We had our last meeting on March 4th. We had a productive discussion about several items. I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make the motion.
Jerry, motion?
Second.
Okay. I feel second. Any discussion? Anything that needs to be corrected?
Maya did point out one word on page 3, line number 5. I believe I have accept, and she wanted accept.
Okay.
So that is noted.
Good pickup.
Thank you, Carol. I forgot already. That's why I told you.
Star, you're doing great. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, done. We will pass the minutes. Thank you very much. Today in the room, we have myself, Kevin McGovern, we have Phil, we have Robert, we have Jerry, we have Maya present, and a couple folks are absent, so we'll catch them up to speed after the meeting. We don't have any presentations today. I don't have any citizen non-agendas, unless anyone's in the audience that wants to speak up. Everyone's good? Okay, we have time. If you change your mind, let us know. We'd be welcome to anything you have. We have a special event application. This is in our packet. It's the Saucon Valley Conservatory 2024 Hellertown Lower Saucon Heritage Day. So let's take a moment to review that. Looked at the application. It is for 5/18. It looks like they're going to set up in the morning. They're going to take down in the afternoon. They're going to have 50 to 150 people anticipated to be here. A couple tents to be determined and food to be determined. That didn't strike fear in my heart. Doesn't look like they're asking for any additional resources of magnitude. I'd be interested in people's thoughts on this. Looks pretty benign.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what is the relationship between the Conservancy and like the Heller Homestead? Can you have the Heller Homestead without a Conservancy? I was surprised that they had to apply for something, because I thought they like were really working to further that place, that I see their costs were waived, which I think is smart.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, that's its own separate group, not related to the township?
The Hellertown Historical Society
Yeah.
is in the borough of Hellertown, so I don't know what laws they
Well, the
have.
Saucon Valley Conservancy.
The Conservancy is in the township, and we need event applications for any events that are gonna take place in the township. Our Public Works has to go out and clean up the trash there, so that's one way to prompt them to go out. Plus, there are no dig
Right.
areas
I saw
there
that.
as well. So we
Right.
need to know the tents are not being dug into the ground and weighed down by sandbags. So that's why we need the locations, and to make sure that they're following the proper procedures. They need to fill out a special event application.
Easy. A good question.
Yeah,
Careful.
being part of the Conservancy in the past, I know when we had events there, we had cooperation from the police department as it relates to, they had, Carol, you may correct me, they have the signage, slow crossing ahead, the flashing, big flashing sign.
There is one there located,
Oh.
crossing.
Yeah, okay, so they will be using that at this event? No, this is one of, it's like a pull behind, it's like a pull behind unit that they have caution and stuff. I'm just concerned about if they're gonna be parking across Water Street, you know, that it's safe to cross there.
There is a crossing with the flashing lights right there.
Yeah.
They would have to press that button in order to cross. Okay.
Okay. Any objections? Seems reasonable. Okay, so we're good with this? Jared, you okay? You're good? Okay. All right, we'll pass this then. Carol, anything else we need to do with this?
Basically, look at the amount of people that they have written down versus the restrooms, to see if they would need more. The tents, that's something big on, you know, with their maps, and make sure they have all their paperwork in, which they do.
I think their paperwork's in. I think the tents is a to be determined. They're gonna have 50 to 150 people. Okay.
Just as a point of interest, is this on? I can't tell.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
As a point of interest, I'm going to have a table there that day talking about native plants and birds.
Good, great, good. I will make a point of stopping by. Wonderful. Okay, we're gonna approve that then. Carol, anything else we have to do?
I make a motion to accept it.
You make a
Second.
motion to accept it? Yes. Great, we have a second? Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's done. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, my display for native plants,
Birds.
thank you.
The next item that we had agreed to work on when we were together last month was we all took a park and wanted to visit that. And I think that's important as a group. We have a lot of nice parks in the area. Some of us visit some of those more than others, but I applaud the effort of the group to get to know those parks and to come back. We agreed to come back today, so hopefully people have had a chance to do that. If you haven't, we can obviously defer that till next month. Nilo is not here, so I'd be happy to talk about the Southeastern Park up in Wassergass. I had visited that and was very impressed. Nice ball field, nice pavilion, couple plaques to people that had made some donations. They have a book box, I call it. I thought it was really well done. I saw a couple things maybe that just need to be cleaned up, and I'm gonna talk about that at the other park I visited. Robert and I on the way in talked about the damage that the ash trees are causing throughout the township and throughout the state, and you see that throughout, and you see different tree damage. But overall, I thought the park was in very good shape. If I was gonna be critical. Maybe some of the benches need to be power washed. That would be one of the things, but if that's the worst thing we're dealing with, I think we're doing pretty good. I really do. So I thought that was fine. And the second park I visited was Kingston Park, and that's right by the old schoolhouse. And again, I thought that was in very good shape. I didn't see anything there that needed immediate attention, except for between the park itself and the schoolhouse, there was a lot of trees that were down.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a project that maybe, perhaps if there was an Eagle Scout or if there was a scout troop that was looking for some work, or maybe our Park and Rec department, something that should probably be cleaned out at some point. It doesn't impede the trail that goes from the park to the schoolhouse by any means, but it's just one of those things that I would say looks unsightly, and you always worry about fire damage as well.
So depending on where it is and whether it presents a hazard for people moving around, downed trees are good habitat. They're habitat for all kinds of critters, including butterfly larvae and so on. And one of the sort of tenets of this whole native plant idea is to have a brush pile on your property. So if we have a brush pile that has volunteered, maybe we could just neaten it up instead of taking it away.
Good point. I didn't know that. Good point. Good point.
Yeah, the tree can provide for insects and such for up to like 15 years. I took my granddaughter to Jacob's, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I took my granddaughter last spring, early summer, up at Jacobsburg Park. And they have programs for youth where you can attend. And they told us that a tree can provide food, habitat, et cetera, for insects for up to like 15 years, till the time it totally decays. It is an important part of the ecological cycle.
Good point. Good point. I have pictures if anyone would like to see them of the parks, but again, from my perspective, I think that they represent the township very well. Okay. Steel City Park, Sean is not here. Polk Valley Park, Robert?
I'd been up, excuse me, I'd been up there a month or so ago. I have a suggestion, feedback on the suggestion, I guess. At the Eastern Fish and Game Shooting Range, they have 50 caliber boxes. Now the 50 caliber boxes have a flip lid. They're waterproof if anybody's familiar with them, basically once you close them. And I was thinking that if people had suggestions, maybe it would be a good thing to take one of those and mount it on a pole, a 4x4 post at the different parks, and put a notepad in there and a pen or two if people had suggestions for things that they'd like to see. Or if something, maybe they would notice something was broken or deteriorating that we didn't see. And we went around to our parks once a month, every 2 weeks, whatever. It would be a good way for the public to put a comment out there and kind of help keep us apprised of what's going on.
I like that idea.
Or you could post, just post one of those black and white little squares called QR codes.
QR
codes
Oh,
that
there
take
you
you right
go.
to
I like that.
information
Yeah,
to report a problem.
That's a good idea.
that's a great idea.
I like your suggestion on the feedback, but I like the more modern twist to it.
Yeah.
Well, you
Like
could
a
you could do
more
both, you
Tell I'm
know?
an old fogey, right?
No, I
Yeah,
like
think
it.
that we
like
all
it.
most of us qualify for that.
No, I like that. Yeah, let's see. So Jerry, what do you think?
I think it's an excellent idea. I'd like to move one out as soon as possible, actually.
Carol, how can you agree, Maya?
Yes.
Okay. If we want to pursue this, would we talk to town manager? If we wanted to develop that where somebody could use, if I understand the concept correctly, their phone QR code, and then maybe they could type in something that says, you know, a swing needs repair or this, or my suggestion would be this. How would we move that to an action?
Well, the council liaison can take that back to council.
I can.
All right. Excellent. I like
I-
that. That's
I
a good
actually
idea.
There's
had-
probably structures already that you could mount it on.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
And we could do it at all the parks.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, do it at all the parks. and
Like
just put a
they
plaque
all,
there
like
that says,
pavilion, you
Yeah.
could put it on one of the pillars.
Concerns,
Yep.
issues.
Concerns, issues, suggestions, QR code, and
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. That's a great idea. Good job. Good job. All right. Any additional comments on that? Yes. Cindy.
Oh, yes.
You got to speak up, I think, a little bit.
You'll have to go to the podium.
Official.
I was at the park
Is that mic, I'm sorry, is that mic, that's on?
I was at the park this weekend and the dog park was closed. Is it because of the wet or? Okay,
It was just open today.
okay, so that was the reason.
Yes, it gets really mushy up there.
Yeah.
And we have to close it for a few days when it rains.
Okay, so it'll be closed again this week.
More than likely.
So,
Yeah, good point,
I
Cindy.
have some citizen feedback about Polk Valley.
Okay.
A couple that I met, I don't know their last name, Michelle and Danny, are very active with their kids and use Polk Valley Park a lot. And they spoke very emphatically about the need for cameras and or lights, that things are being stolen out of cars, and that it's, not safe walking at dusk.
yeah, there've been several, police reports.
Interesting. Sorry to hear that.
So again, that's something that we could ask our liaison to take to council to see whether there's an appetite there for spending a little bit of money. I'm not sure whether there's electricity there,
Yeah, I'm not,
but
Yeah, there might not be at all the parks, but I know everything closes at dusk, so I don't know how much money they would want to put into lights.
but you're probably gonna need electricity for cameras, if you're gonna have cameras.
True.
I know in the market there are, light poles for parking lots that are solar paneled.
Oh, yes, what a good
And-
idea.
And so it avoids the electricity
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it. It doesn't provide enough power, I believe, for cameras. But if there was a concern about putting some lights in the parking lot, but the point is, if the park's closed at night, there probably is just a small benefit. The disadvantage of solar is I don't believe they're on timers, so you couldn't shut them off. So. What do you?
And this one here has lights, this.
Correct.
And so it's open till,
10, I believe.
All of our parks are open dawn to dusk.
right,
However, this one is extended with the lights, usually for baseball. And then they turn them on and turn them off, and they have to be turned off by 10.
okay.
The basketball court is on a timer, I believe.
It's on a timer, but that also has to be shut down by 10.
Yes, ma'am.
Diane Hollowell, I think all those cars that were broken into, I know my neighbors was the people who parked and then went to the dog park. But I'm thinking that maybe since the pickleball courts are gonna be in there, there's gonna be more people parking there, so maybe that would stop it, because there'll be more cars there.
That would be great. I'm not sure we can count on that.
I mean, I know the police always post that people need to lock their doors. I don't think it sounds like they're smashing windows and breaking in. I think it's cars are left unlocked with. They are smashing windows. Oh, are they?
And
Okay.
they're leaving their items on the
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not the wisest thing either.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you're gonna go play pickleball, you don't wanna carry your purse with you.
Right.
And if you don't have a trunk to put something in, I always tuck mine under the seat if I'm.
So I wonder if maybe lockers
say
or
it
something
here.
would
Now
be
we
an
know.
idea.
Yeah, these guys, you gotta watch out for these guys.
Hold on.
especially Bob.
Bunch of shady characters. Well, one of us anyway.
I think for now, I like the suggestion, but I think for now, why don't we just, if it's okay, table this, because I think the lighting opportunity would be probably complicated, I believe. Why don't we see if this continues? I would trust our local authorities, the police department in particular, to make a recommendation to say, hey, this is that the time when it happens? Is this happening during the day? when I'm distracted and I'm playing pickleball or I'm gonna play a game, I shouldn't say pickleball now, but in the future. So that would be, my thoughts on this.
Could we ask the police department to tell us answers to those things?
Sure, if people feel that would be beneficial. I don't think.
You
that
know,
would
I
be
mean, we
bad.
could ask them how severe is the problem with vandalism of cars at Polk Valley and get some real data rather than someone's neighbor and someone's neighbor and someone's neighbor. Maybe it's all the same neighbor, you know, you never know, right?
What do you think?
We can
problem with
ask
that.
the police for some info, yeah.
I didn't hear what you said.
We can ask the police for info on that, on some stats that they have.
Great.
Robert, at the last meeting, Sebastian was here,
Yes, sir.
and I think there's some positive progress on his project.
Yes, we had come up with an agreement with him that he should provide half of the money, $750 through fundraising or whatever, of the $1,500 for the project. We went to the council meeting, and at the council meeting, it was decided that council would approve paying for the full project. My wife and I had to leave early that evening, having appointments early the next morning. But Miss Garber from the landfill stood at the podium and volunteered for the landfill to fund that project
Wow.
In total.
in total.
Okay, okay. Good to know. Okay, so the funding is there, and as we agreed, you
Yeah.
and Sebastian are gonna continue to communicate about the project, and
I've also informed them that my son has a post hole digger that I can borrow. So if he needs somebody to dig post holes to sink his connecting posts,
Great.
I can do that for him.
great. And if you're looking for some manual labor, I'd be happy to help. Just let me know. Okay. Anything else on Polk Valley that you
Yeah,
saw?
question, Bob. What is the status on the pickleball? Is that under construction now, or?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
Oh. Carol would know. Carol would know.
the status. I know our Public Works has not had a chance to go and work on it yet. They're working on the second culvert, finishing the second culvert, I believe, on Reddington.
Okay.
Big job.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Pickleball, the culvert.
Okay.
But that's all been decided, location, everything, the pickleball is.
Yeah, that's
That's in the
been
books.
approved,
The
yeah.
pickleball court, Carol, is where? Is it up by the dog park? I know you told me before, I drove up there and I wasn't quite sure.
It's above the dog park,
It's
yes.
above the dog park.
Yes, if you're going up the road that leads to the top lot,
Right.
the top parking lot, it's, right before the bend in the road, it's on the left-hand side. You'll see where it's all leveled.
On the left-hand side.
Correct. Yes, it's leveled.
So it's like kind of across from the dog park, not really.
Yeah.
Next door.
So you use the parking where the dog park people park?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there will be parking there.
Okay.
At the pickleball court. I'm not sure how many spaces, 10 to 15.
That's a great thing. Pickleball's the rage. That's a good thing, so. All right. Robert, thank you very much. Jerry,
Yes.
you were looking at the Easton Road ball field. Looks like they made progress from last time we talked. Looked like they've moved a lot of dirt around, kind of smoothing things out.
Yes, I have some photos here to share with you, but,
Robert, can you push the mic towards you?
Sorry.
yes, they have. I have some photos here to show you. But I guess I should start by saying there's bad news. There's bad news in the sense that it is not going to be open when council thought it was going to be open. I had a meeting today with the superintendent, and we reviewed the whole project as it relates to the timetable. He was optimistic that their part of it was gonna be done by the end of June. But the big ticket is the sod. When the sod goes down, they need a lot of time. It's gotta be watered. I mean, you could play ball on it, and this is what he said off the record. You could play ball on it, but that's not what you should be doing. It appears from his conversation, they're gonna be doing the watering. I know in another council meeting that I heard, they were talking about even as far as drilling a well out there. But he said in the contract, the watering's gonna be done on their side of it. So that's part of it.
So he, if I heard you right, he anticipates the construction being completed in June?
Yeah, he said, I didn't know if this was a contractual agreement with the timeline or not, and I asked him about it, and he says, yeah, I believe it is. He says, we should be finished here by the end of June. But they are dependent on 5 or 6 contractors. They contract, it's subcontracted. There's 5 or 6 other contractors that are doing work for them. So it's dependent on them, but he seems to be very positive that there's not going to be any problem or any delays. But he says, as of today, the completion is probably between 50 and 60% complete. All right?
Okay.
Now, I have some other stuff here. You talked about the pile of dirt that was there initially, I think, Kevin. You
Yeah,
said something.
at the last meeting, I was, just, they're moving dirt around, part of the project.
There was 3,000 cubic yards of soil there that came out of that bank. If any, Phil, you might be familiar with what that location was like prior to this construction. There was a Little League field on the top side, all right? So they had to cut back into that bank all the way up towards 78. So that's what they had. They had, like, he told me, took them 300 loads to get all that soil out of there that you saw, or you talk about, Kevin. All right. Now there's additional soil there. This first picture here, you can pass it around here. This is the lower part of it, where the parking lot is, all right? The second picture is the field itself. But in this picture, what you want to note is the soil that's piled up on the left-hand side in the back. Now that's soil that remains, and that's mostly going to be for topsoil, and the way I understand it, it's used to put down before they put the sod down, so it gets a better footing. All right.
Okay.
Put it in a pile.
Now they finished, I remember when Carol first brought in, we talked about it. They finished the retaining walls. Now when you see these pictures, you're gonna be impressed. These are the retaining walls that started up toward 78, on the 78 side. They come around on the third baseline, all right? But they just completed these walls. Here's a picture. Here's 2 pictures. As a matter of fact, here's 3 pictures. You can see how massive they are.
Wow.
You see this one from the road?
Yeah, I saw it going up.
I know this isn't the best way to do things. I just want to include you folks. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Wow.
Now, the progress is the sodding. The sodding is, what they're doing next is the fencing around the field. And they're going to be starting that in the next week or 2. And then the dugouts and the bleachers will be about 6 or 7 weeks from the present day, I believe. All right?
Okay.
So after that process is, then we come to the big ticket item that's the big expense for that ball field. It's the retaining fence. It's a ball retaining fence. I think the ticket on that is $430,000. Now, what has to go in order to put that retaining fence up, the retaining fence is, I assume, there's houses on the third base side of the field. It was always a problem when I was involved in Little League. It was always a problem with people driving up that road going to the Little League field. And when I was involved in Little League, they stopped playing up there because there was a disruption from a person that lived next to the road. I don't know if they ever started again after that, but the point being, that's why this retention fence is being built. Now this retention fence, you can see, I have pictures of the poles that are gonna go on the ground, and this is one of the last things that they'll be doing. But these poles are like 2 feet diameter. They're gonna be 60 feet above the ground, buried 15 feet into the ground.
Wow.
So it's massive to put these, poles in place.
And you said $400,000.
It's costing $430,000 for that portion of the baseball field. Here's some pictures. Those are pictures of the poles, but it just gives you an idea how massive and how strong they have to be. That retaining fence is going to be going up toward 78, which would be the first base line and behind the backstop, and also along the third base line.
Okay.
Now, I think if you count those number of pipes, there's like about, or poles, pipes, I call them, there's about 2 dozen of them. But that's the last portion of the field construction.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have a question.
Well, you shouldn't ask me.
You're doing great, Jerry.
What are they retaining?
It's to prevent
To
I think it's
catch
to prevent
baseballs.
the foul balls don't go out of the balls don't go out of the field
Why
area.
do you need 20 feet under the ground and 60 feet up to stop a baseball?
Well,
Balls, you don't want them coming down in the wind.
look at how big those poles are. They have to be put in the ground.
They gotta be
Matter of
grounded.
fact, they're cemented in the ground, they told me. Going 15 foot in the ground, they're sizable pipes.
There's gonna be a net on it or something.
Yeah, there's gonna be netting across it. There's gonna be netting across it, but I'm sure the netting isn't that heavy, but,
Our goal today, and Robert and I were talking about this prior to the meeting, we're not
Right.
debating the
Right.
field
No,
pros and cons.
I
What we're
was
trying to do is
just
get,
going to say
that's a
that.
good question. We're not debating that.
Yep, I was just going to
It's
say
approved.
that.
It's great to hear. It's wonderful to hear the progress. That's wonderful. The rain has certainly played a part, I'm sure, in their schedule, but it sounds like they're, making progress. And Jerry, I appreciate your comprehensive report. Anything else that you want to share with us this evening?
Okay, when you said retaining, I was thinking of soil, and I spoke about the pile of soil that they have that they're gonna reuse, but no, that's it, Kevin.
All right, nice job. It's going to be nice when that's operational. That'll be real nice.
Do we know when it's operational?
I beg your pardon?
Jerry said the construction will be done at the end of June, and then I guess it's a sod issue.
No, it's gonna, the whole field, it's 18,000 square feet of sod. If you look at this one picture, share that picture with you, Bob, will you? To see how massive this area is. Pass that over to her. That's how massive it is. It's big. They're putting a lot of sod down there. It's a big operation.
Until it takes root.
Right, exactly. That's what they
And
tell
it'll
me.
probably be it'd probably be smart not to use the field until,
Yeah, well, that's what the superintendent said, but you know, it's,
Are there
It's-
sprinklers under there to water it?
No.
So when it dries?
well, actually, what they're gonna be doing, they're gonna be bringing tankers in. So we're gonna be bringing tankers in, but across the street, there's a church there.
Yep.
Next to the church, between the church and the cemetery, is a fire hydrant. All right? So they're gonna be using that. I don't know if we, Lower Saucon, can use it to water the field, but that's a very good question. When it was brought up to council, they were talking about, what if we put a well in, you know? But yeah, how's it gonna be watered? You know, it's a
well,
problem.
I mean, the Polk Valley Park doesn't get watered.
But this is just to get it established.
I know, but why put a well in if, just to get it established? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
But I would
don't
say,
know.
yeah, tanker, the thing is, that you definitely need the water sod for a period of time to get it to root and establish itself. Doesn't take long, but it's still,
Well,
shouldn't be used.
according to him, it's not something that, you know, you water it one day and play on it the
No,
next.
no.
He said it could take 6 months.
Oh,
Whoa.
that I wouldn't, yeah, really.
Well, if you
That's
watch,
why he said, I said, well, will the boys be able to play fall ball here? And he just shook his head. He said, I said, I don't want you to go on record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carol, question for you. Sounds like the project's moving along, and again, Jerry, thank you very much. Who decides when that is acceptable to use? So the project's gonna be done. There's a contract, of course, for construction and the watering of the sod. I'm sure that's taken care of, and at some point, that project will be signed off, I assume, by the town manager, and they'll say, okay, you've delivered, and if there's a bond, that bond would be released, I assume. But who is it that says, okay, related to the grass and everything else, you know, this is acceptable to use for as we envision it? Is that?
Roger's reporting back.
Roger, okay, thank you.
See, the good thing about this project, in my estimation, it's
I'm
being.
sorry, I just want to be clear, so Roger's the one that will decide when that's operational, that's my question.
Well, I think
Not
there
that
would be
it's,
a conversation when that would be finished, there would be a conversation between him and the manager, whoever that is at that time, they would have a conversation and, you know, things have to be met before that happens, so.
sure, okay.
So much grass has to be established and so on and so forth, so it's a conversation that would be had between the manager, Roger, and maybe the supervisor that Jerry talks to.
Okay, gotcha, all right, thank you. He still has some time, all right.
Well, the good thing, Kevin, about this project in that it's being controlled. I mean, Hanover Engineer, I asked about specifically, they're out there every day.
Sure.
You know, so oversight is there.
And I'm sure they're
Which is a
doing
good
great
thing.
job, right?
Which is an excellent thing.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Maya, you were gonna report on the Heller Homestead?
yes, I did go over one day when it wasn't raining. And within 20 minutes, of course, it started raining. So I didn't really check out the whole park.
Okay.
And I must admit that I was test driving my apps
Okay.
for the invasive plant
Yeah.
project, which work, by the way. And so I don't really have a report
Okay,
on Heller Homestead. I will next month.
okay, no problem with that at all. All right, Phil?
There's, you know, what, Carol, there's the recreation center, or the nature preserve, Sandra Yeager Nature Preserve, that never gets closed. Like Polk Valley Park.
Dawn to dusk.
No, but I'm saying like the Polk Valley gets closed because of rain, the fields and things. That, there's 3 places on that I find it unusable this time of year if something is not handled. There's
Okay.
3 spots. That, like, I usually hike in this type of shoe.
Yep.
But I definitely know this time of year I'm gonna wear something higher, because you can't, I don't even know how they mow it. Because it's just too waterlogged, that you have to work your way around it. I would say if you're an older person, you don't have the right shoes, you're turning around, you're not continuing on. There's 3 spots that are bad. And I think, personally, I think what my understanding of what they do with rails and trails is you put the big chunk rock down and then you put filings on top, and I think that would make those spots, and they might only be from here to the wall long, that they're impassable. That you have to go other ways.
These are trails.
It is a trail.
Yeah.
But at these 3 spots, they're waterlogged, that you're not walking that trail. You're circumventing, you're going around or whatever unless you have decent boots on that you don't mind, going up over your ankle in water. So it would be could be a good Eagle Scout project, but I don't know the environmental stuff associated with fixing that. Or rerouting it. Maybe rerouting is the simplest thing.
Well, rerouting would be advantageous to my next comment, which is vernal pools, which is water that stands in the spring, are a vital habitat for breeding amphibians. And so to simply fill the vernal pools is not environmentally sound, and that it could reroute the trail, or you could reroute the vernal pool by just opening it up a little bit downhill so that it's not crossing the trail.
These aren't vernal pools.
These are just low spots.
I mean, the ponds and things got tons of tadpoles and whatever right now. But yeah, this is a soggy area that.
Okay.
It doesn't create a vernal pool.
Okay.
Do we want to
at that spot.
that be addressed to make it more usable, the park? It sounds like that would be a logical.
Yeah, this time of year, it's
just a mess.
So maybe like a boardwalk type thing? Maybe like a boardwalk kind of trail area rather than
a boardwalk
rocks?
would be very easy to do, but again, I don't know the implications of putting, let's say, pressure treated or cedar down. I don't know if that's legal or allowed or whatever, but because it wouldn't need to be elevated. It would not need to be an elevated type of platform.
So you think it's just the springs that are just running high? I mean,
I'm trying to think of back when I played golf there, how they got around it. And that's the other thing, you could just re-navigate and probably get around it. I mean, they've done that with the mowing. There's a few places where the trail went this way, and this time of year, they have to mow that way. But it's still, even mowing around it it's still miserable to walk.
So.
I mean, I expect it, so I have no problem with it.
Right. You want to have the place be usable. Now, this year has been a tremendous amount of rain, and maybe it's a little unusual, but it seems that we want to make sure that the parks are usable. We're all reporting out. We haven't seen anything like this. This is the first discussion we've had where maybe something needs to be addressed to make it usable in the wet times. I don't think it's unreasonable.
I'm glad to contact someone on staff who would go out there with me and get an opinion. If there's someone,
that's a good idea.
Is there someone on staff that I would contact?
I would say Roger.
Okay.
All right. Would you talk to Roger?
Yep.
Just see what he says.
Roger. I'm not going to be at the May meeting, but
just give me a call. Talk to me, and I can report out.
I will talk to Roger.
You talk to Roger, I can report out for you. No problem.
What is Roger's last name?
Rossage.
Say that again.
Rossage.
Thank you.
So maybe some photos or video of what it looks like would be good.
Yeah, Phil, that's not a bad idea.
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else out there? It's a nice park.
Yeah.
Nice park.
Is it like that every year, Phil? Or is it, the
It's
same
this way.
places?
And it's not only springtime. It's even in the middle of summer or fall. If you get rain, you're gonna have a problem with it.
Yeah, I've been up there sometimes, like you said, even in the middle.
I mean, it's just consistently this time of year that.
You get that? nice piece of property, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great idea. All right, and then, Jerry, you were gonna report out on the Saucon Valley, the rail trail?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have anything to report?
I do. Jerry and I haven't had a chance to get together, but my question is that is our jurisdiction, this Parks and Recreation, Lower Saucon Township Parks and Recreation, just the park at where the parking lot is, or is it the trail? Because I understood that the trail is under the jurisdiction of the Saucon Valley Rail Trail Commission.
That's a good,
Well, I think we had that explained to us, Carol, at our first meeting when I asked. The Saucon Rail Trail, correct me if I'm wrong, Carol, falls under the umbrella of us.
No, it's 3 municipalities.
Yes, I know, but their portion, our portion of the rail trail, there's different portions of it. There's Hellertown, Coopersburg, Upper Saucon, and us. Correct? Isn't that correct, Carol?
We signed, excuse me, I talked. I had mentioned the rail trail to Priscilla because last week there was information going around on the internet that Pennsylvania is considering, and SEPTA is considering, going back to using these trails for passenger cars, for passenger train service. They're talking about running from Allentown to Philly, Allentown to Norristown, Allentown to New York via Hackettstown. And I forget the figures, but the figures are from the tens of millions to the hundreds of millions as far as money. And Priscilla said that we signed a lease for the rail trail. I think the lease is good till 2041, but it was either a 30 or 40-year lease was signed in 2011, if I remember correctly. And eminent domain, if they want it, they're going to take it back, is what it amounts to. You're not going to stop them. So I don't know how sure they are about doing this, but it might be something we might want to consider.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, in that report, that was only one of the 3 options. There were 3 options. There were 3 options, Bob. That one was only one of the options. Opening this section, that was one of the 3 options.
The way I read it, that all 3 of them hit parts of the trail. I could be misremembering. That happens a lot.
Okay.
but for instance, Lower Saucon Township doesn't have really a park associated with the trail. Like the Water Street Park is Hellertown. So the parking lot on, where is it, out towards the country club?
Reading Road.
Reading.
Reading.
That's about the only parking we have in Lower Saucon Township for the rail trail.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what my question was, is that there are volunteers who maintain a native plant garden there and are enlarging it and so on and so forth. But I didn't understand that we had jurisdiction over the actual trail. And if I'm not remembering, that would not be unusual.
Okay.
Isn't that correct, Carol? I thought that's Priscilla explained.
Rail Trail has their own committee?
Yes, but that falls under the umbrella of Parks and Rec. Liaison.
Why don't we clarify that?
I don't know, I mean, I know that, you as an as a group would be able to, suggest things for the rail trail, our portion, benches, or, they have I think a kit there that's set up to fix bicycles or, things like that, water fountains, those would be things that
We could work on,
would be able
sure.
to suggest, but it would ultimately go to the Saucon Rail Trail Committee for approval.
Okay. Well, something to think about.
The reason I brought The reason I was concerned is when I was appointed to this committee, I went back a year or two through records of the meetings. And it had been brought up, I believe it was Mr. Carochi brought it up, and it might even been in a council meeting brought up at one time, our section of the trail is the only section that does not have a restroom, they said. And they were considering investing and putting up a block building to put a nice restroom in. So that would be
Right.
quite an expense that you would really want to, I think, consider heavily, knowing that the rail trail may be converted back to passenger service again. That's why I brought it up.
Maybe they'll go back to having a stop on called Bingen.
And they need an outhouse.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on that?
Yes, I have two parts to that. First of all, I attended the March 25th Oversight Committee meeting for Rails and Trails.
Great.
There are a number of items. One very significant. I'll just go over them briefly. The railroad signs at the stations, they will be completed by the end of April. I think I was out to the Bingen site today. They have a Bingen sign there. We're at the park there that has Bingen on it, but I believe what they're doing, and I could be wrong on this, they're putting together a kiosk kind of thing, which gives a little bit more history, I think, the way I understood it, and I could be wrong. But they're gonna have them at Bingen, Hellertown, and Center Valley, and Coopersburg is to follow. I'm not sure. I haven't been at the Hellertown site. Has anybody else been at the Hellertown area? Do they have a marker down there where the train station used to be? Yeah, they have one of those in Bingen, but I think it's gonna be more than that. I think it's gonna be more than that.
Okay.
Mile markers are a problem on the rail trail because they originally put there when the trail was opened. They're beginning to fall down. A couple of them have fallen down. They're looking at replacements, but they're not sure what they want to do. They haven't made a decision if they want to do wood or do metal. So they're not sure what they're going to be doing with that. Now, the most important one. Bethlehem is in the process with Norfolk Southern to purchase the last piece of property that is in Hellertown. I'm not sure what it is, if anybody knows Hellertown, exactly what portion of property.
Is that the part that's not finished?
That's the part, that's the link they need.
The link. Yeah, that's by the old bridge out there, right?
Yeah, by the
Right.
by the closed High Street Bridge.
Yep.
Okay, that must.
Ironworks, what they call the ironworks.
Okay, that must be
That's
the
correct.
last section that Bethlehem is negotiating, but they said they're gonna, it's sale and it's not a lease. I couldn't believe it because all the other things along the rail trail are all lease property. This one, they said sale, which was a bit confusing, but it doesn't matter as long as it gets done. But that should happen rather shortly, according to them.
So they're gonna buy that, and then that's Bethlehem. They are gonna
Link it up.
They're gonna finish that, and that will connect it.
Link it up to the greenways, yeah. So,
That would be impressive.
Great.
The article that I read did mention that there were private property owners along the trail also.
Okay. All right.
okay, second part of it. Physical review of the rail trail. I made it today, and I talked to a couple people in the rail trail, and they said, didn't you see the stuff on Facebook? I guess there were Facebook postings on one site, one Hellertown site. I'm not sure what the site is. there's postings made about how bad shape the rail trail was in as a result of that bad weather that we had the other day, or last week. So I was talking to the one gal and I said, yeah, I'm gonna be driving down here. And I said, I'm interested in looking at it. I said, I gotta make a report at a meeting tonight. And she said, well, take pictures. So I did. And you'll be surprised how deplorable it is at some locations. Now, it appeared to me Public Works has done some work, but there's a lot of work, a lot of cleanup that needs to be done from my perspective. So, and there also is safety hazards. This one is the biggest problem. This is one I ran into. It's a tree ready to fall over. As a matter of fact, it has fallen over and it's crossing the rail trail. So it's just a matter of time so it falls down completely. But that's the worst. That's the worst of it.
The trees in this area right now between the ash boards and the gypsum off damage, I mean, they are just falling.
Yeah,
My property, my neighbor's properties, just one after the other.
Yeah, not to mention the rain and the wind.
Is this the lower Saucon section?
This section, the bad section, yes, it's all lower Saucon. I wasn't interested in going on the other sections. This section here, the bad section, is between Meadows Road and Bingen Road and Mill Road. That's where all these pictures for the most part were taken, okay? But you can just see how cluttered it is with tree limbs, branches. Off to the side, they're off to the side. The Public Works probably threw them, or some people threw them off to the side.
Who generally takes care of that, Carol?
Public Works will go out and remove the trees
Here's a good one.
Okay.
if they're crossing over.
So they get
Somebody would call in,
yeah.
yes. So I haven't heard that was called in, but I don't work the phones.
That would be a good place to have that QR code we had talked about.
Yeah, excellent.
I like that idea.
Excellent place.
Idea of the day. Different angles, maybe, just trees coming down. You know, yeah. Anything else you'd like to report out on?
Yeah, my other part of the, was an inspection of, I'm sorry to say this, the air pump down at Bingen does not work. I tried it. I got a flat tire. I had to push my bike all the way home. All the way home from Bingen Road to Nettles Road. It needs attention. Carol, I wish you'd put that on your to-do list to ask Roger to look at it. I consider myself a handyman, but I was working on it for about 10 or 15 minutes and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Was this today?
Yeah.
Good pickup, that's good. People will appreciate your feedback as the weather gets warmer.
Well, I
The
don't know.
bikers, no, they will.
Yeah, that
And
needs
that
to be
fixed.
fixed.
That's a good
That
thing.
needs to be fixed, absolutely.
Yeah, just put a big notice at the beginning, carry your own air pump. Sissies.
All right. Jared, nice job. That was good. A lot of good information there. Okay. Maya, you want to talk to us, so follow up on our previous conversation, our last meeting about
Yes,
the Nature Reserve Invasive Species Survey.
yes. Let me hand these out. I have to take the mask off so I can lick the fingers. Oh, I'm very sorry, that's unpleasant. I sent it to you by email too, if you want it for your records.
Thank you.
I looked at it
So,
quick.
as I mentioned, when we were talking about Heller Homestead, I did test out my technology. So would you like one? And there are some details to be ironed out about what log on we're going to use and things like that. But it's really a pretty straightforward project. The tools that everyone who is going to work on this needs to have a smartphone, and a smart enough phone that it embeds the location on a photograph. Not all cell phones do that. So if the location is on the photograph, we can just drop the pin in the map by putting in the photo.
Gotcha.
Very
Okay.
handy.
Okay, and you tried this and it worked?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So everybody needs a smartphone. There are 2 apps. One is called Picture This, one is called Pin Drop. And depending on when we go and what's going on, we're gonna need to have things like water in a partner, and maybe boots and maybe sunscreen. You know, if we're gonna be out for a couple of hours, we wanna be prepared. So the simplest way, and anybody can do this alone, and that is go take pictures with the embedded location and send them to me, and I'll put them into Pin Drop. Because, you know, I can do that. On the other hand, we're talking about working together, and once we get the system down, inviting the public to join us as well. So the process is to take a picture with the location in it. Now, you can take a picture within Picture This, but that doesn't work because it doesn't have the location information.
Okay.
So you take a picture, and then you open Picture This, and you point Picture This to the picture you just took. You don't have to take another picture, and it will tell you what it thinks it is. And my experience is that it's right 90-some-odd% of the time.
Okay.
And I will take responsibility for double checking identifications as things come in, because some things are a little tricky. So take a picture, look it up with Picture at This, and then add the pin to Pin Drop by using the picture. This is really easy to do if 2 people are working together. One of them takes the picture and looks it up, and the other one does the Pin Drop. I was doing it myself, and each tree or bush that I identified took no more than 90 seconds to do.
Wow, pretty quick.
Yeah, now, there's a learning curve for these apps, and one of the things that I suggest is that when we get started, that we sort of all work together to see how it works. So if we're at Heller Homestead and we're on the nature trail, you know, somebody's taking pictures this way and somebody's taking pictures, and we'll all see how to make it work, because there is some learning curve. I am choosing Heller Homestead because it's small, and the thing that I would like to do is pick a date that we could do our trial run. And there will be login information for the 2 apps. I've already determined that more than one person can be signed in on the same ID on Pin Drop. I still have to sort of figure that out about Picture This. But the idea is we have one account, and the account will be, you know, LST Native Plant Survey 2024 at gmail.com, right?
Yep.
And that'll be the login ID, and we'll have a easy password like Parks and Rec 3 or something.
Yep.
So I was really pleased as I actually started figuring out what the pieces are, that it's not going to be that hard.
So help me, that's good, that's a good, nice report. So help me understand, we get the 2 apps, we go to the Heller Homestead and we take these pictures. And it's gonna identify what we're looking at from a plant perspective, of course.
You're going to take a picture with your camera,
Got that, right?
and then you're going to open the Picture This app.
Yep, I understand, yep.
And instead of taking a picture with the picture of this app, you're gonna say, use the camera roll. And so you point to the picture you just took.
Right,
And
okay.
it then identifies the plant.
And then what happens?
And then what happens is that the person who's working pin drop adds the pin using the photograph.
Okay.
But you have to have a name, and so that's why you have to identify the plant before you put down the pin.
Sure,
Because
right.
the pin has to have a name. So if you take a picture and it's the eastern white pine, you know, then you take the same picture from your camera roll and use it to add a pin to pin drop, and you call it eastern white pine.
Okay.
And save.
Okay, so then we map out the park, right? We go through this and we have eastern white pine. I'm sure we have some unfortunately invasive species.
Yeah, I
So we
found.
map out that park, and then what happens?
Well, then
And I know
what,
that by itself sounds like a really good first step if we
Yeah.
mapped it out. Then what would you suggest we do at that point?
so I see doing this park by park and maybe even part of a
Well,
park.
Just stay with one park to begin with. Let's say
Okay.
we get one done first, and then what would we do with that information?
So then we would take the list of invasive plants
Okay,
and go to council with a recommendation that they be removed.
gotcha. Okay, thank you. Gotcha.
And then we would make a recommendation about what to put in their place. Because when you take something out, nature abhors a vacuum, and weeds, weed trees, weed bushes, weed whatever, will fill in that place. And so we want
Okay.
to be able to add native plants in its stead.
And you think the Heller Homestead is manageable? Because I know the Kingston Park isn't that big either. Now Wassergass, the one up there, is a little bigger, and
Yeah.
we can't even get near the place you went to. That's big. That's like, 50, 60 acres. So you think Heller Homestead is the way to go here?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the place, that's what occurred to me as a place to start. Now, I'm gonna be
Interesting.
77 in a couple of weeks. I don't expect this to be completed before I die. You know, if we're talking about all the 150 acres of parks in the township.
Okay.
Nonetheless, every acre we clear is a big value, especially with Bartlett pears, multifloral rose, oriental bittersweet. I mean, they're everywhere, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, taken over. Okay, all right. I like the approach. I think it makes sense to learn. I think it makes sense to start small and manageable. You're not saying to us, let's start at every park and get it done by July 4th, which would be unreasonable. I like the approach. I might suggest we think about a date if we want to do this as you suggest as a group, or if we want to do a different approach, but it may be a nice starting point if we all agree to do this, and we have to have that discussion, that we maybe practice with these apps just to get the hang of it, just to see what we think. But I'd like to hear from other team members here what you think of the idea. Make sense? Should we move forward with it? I would look at this as a pilot with one park, if I could use that word, or do we want to say, at this point, we want to go in a different direction?
I might suggest in May, we're actually meeting at Southeastern, and I know you said about Heller Homestead, but we could do a learning session there,
I love that idea.
since we're gonna be there anyway, and then we don't have to have a separate date.
I like that idea a lot. Thank you.
And you said, what are you presenting at Heritage Day?
Information about native plants and birds.
Is there any opportunity to do something like this for people to get them into the picture this app?
I don't think we're gonna be ready to be soliciting public help into this project until we've finished our trial run. But there's no question that I can talk about it. See, now,
I mean, that's a good, I mean, I just looked it up because I'm looking for an app like that, so.
There are a lot of different apps. Picture this as, so there's a free version and there's a $30 a year version, and I have the $30 a year version.
You have it? All right, two endorsements.
And I find that it's pretty reliable. And so I can certainly talk, oh, here's what I was trying to say, is that I am not there under the auspices of the Parks and Recreation Board of the township.
You're
I'm
volunteering,
there
yep.
representing Birdtown and myself. And
Okay.
if this committee wants me to talk about how we're looking into doing this, I would be happy to do that. But I wasn't planning on that because,
I think we
Yeah.
gotta, I like your idea, I like
what Laura.
Yeah, I like what Laura said. I think we, at our next meeting, we're meeting in May at Southeastern Pavilion. If we can all try it, or at the worst case scenario, have you show it to us. I think that would be great to get some more information.
yeah, great.
Everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Jerry, you good?
I have a question,
Yeah.
not to be a devil's advocate.
Oh, but that's
The
your
goal-
job.
Yeah,
It's your superpower.
yes. The goal is to remove the invasive. All right. We identify them. Who does that? Do we expect our public works to do that?
Yeah, we're gonna
Public
ask
Works.
Public Works to do it.
You don't think they have enough? You're gonna ask them to start taking invasive plants out of our parks?
So there are other ways to do it. We can do fundraising. We can solicit volunteers. Some of them can be taken out with a spade and a,
Eagle Scout
Yeah,
project.
Yeah.
or you make a,
It's a good point,
a
Chair, though.
community-wide, Earth Day.
yeah,
You know, an annual Earth Day, 2-3 hours, but with tools, we were not taking chainsaws and that kind of stuff, but
yeah.
that could all grow into that.
So we can fundraise, we can do stuff with volunteers. Some things just need to be cut down. Bradford pears just need to be cut down. That's all. You don't have to do anything else to it. Some things need to be dug out by the roots, like multifloral rose. Some things you need to poison, like tree of heaven. You have to put cuts in the bark and squirt it with poison 3 times a year, and maybe it'll die.
Jerry, we'll let you do that.
No,
That's Jerry's job.
drinking it.
Actually, we'll nominate somebody that's not here.
Yeah, miss a meeting, you gotta do it, right?
That's right. All right, good discussion? Okay, we're good?
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. No, that's impressive. You followed through, and that's great.
Meeting will be May 8th.
May 6th? May 6th. We're all gonna meet in person.
Kevin, to digress for a second.
Yes, sir.
Back to the rail trail. We identified a problem. What are we gonna do about it if everybody thinks it's a problem? I mean, the branches and the trees.
I think that would go, I assume, to Roger.
Pardon me?
I think that would go to Roger, and it looks like they've done some work there. and
Well,
it's- What do you
I
think?
personally.
You think it needs a little more?
No, I personally think Public Works has enough. I think we've got to start organizing and do things. What I suggested at the oversight meeting in April is a work party to get the rail cleaned up, all right? They didn't like it very much. They said, how would you organize it? I said, well, pretty damn simple. You just have a captain of each location in each community be in charge of it. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carol, don't you think if we put something on the website that we get volunteers to help clean the rail trail? You don't know.
I think we could definitely do that. We've seen volunteer activities in the community. It could be a trash pickup day. Some were attended well, some were not attended well. And you say, well, wouldn't people have time for that? It just depends. And then if we're gonna do the cleanup, especially with branches, I assume we need some support because we could, you're talking about trees that are over the trail. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no,
gonna be
no,
an issue. You're talking about just the
that's-
basic stuff, so
no,
we'd have to
yeah.
have.
I'm
we'd have to have
talking
s-
about moving stuff to the side, that's what I'm
Right.
talking about,
You could,
putting it in
I think
piles.
there's various levels of it. Moving things to the side would be fairly easy. Then you could talk about if there's stuff on the side that should be removed, how would we do that? Would that be in coordination with Roger and the team there? And then, of course, Roger's work is more complicated, bringing trees down, hauling out the heavy lumber and those type of things. Yeah, it would be something to think about, Jerry, if we could do it maybe in conjunction with the rail oversight group that you mentioned. What was their reaction to this?
I beg your pardon?
What was their reaction to this?
They asked me, how is your portion of the trail? And I said, I haven't been on it for a couple of weeks, but I said the last time it was on, there was a lot of branches and stuff that should have been thrown to the side, da-da-da-da-da-da. And that's when they asked me, well, how would you do it? And I said, well, you'd have a captain of each location and you would canvass your location for help. And then you do yours, we do ours, and maybe there's some spillover that you could help another community.
Okay.
But no, it's a good idea, but
They didn't.
it's, it's one of those cases, who wants to be in charge and do it?
Right.
Yeah.
So where do you think we should go from here?
I think, number one, we should see if there's any interest, and we can certainly see if there's any interest by putting a sign up on the rail trail, advertising that we want to do it. We're looking for people. The woman
With the
told me
QR code.
that would be an idea.
You would think it shouldn't be that hard to be getting volunteers. They're walking on the trail anyway.
No.
Pick up some sticks while you're walking by.
Yeah. You've been involved in that in the past, Adopt a Road. Did you have a problem out at Litz Franklin doing that kind of stuff? Did you have problems? I know I saw a lot of
They
pictures.
sometimes have a hard, that's all the Historical Society group that does that. Yeah, it's not really the public, it's the members.
No, but I think
That's
the
hard.
first step would be putting a sign up,
I think you can do it a couple ways. I think the sign would make sense. I think a website, on the website would make sense as well. It sounds like it should be a coordinated effort, however, through that group that you attended. I'm not sure their official title. Or do you want to do something through this group?
Well, as I said, they didn't seem to be very enthusiastic about the idea.
Okay.
So I think it has to be done at our level. We're worried about cleaning up our section, I don't mind I don't mind being in charge of it, but I just need a way of gathering the people. That's what I'm concerned. I don't mind going out there and leading a group in a cleanup, and I'm sure other people here would feel the same way.
That would be
A lot of the local radio stations, if you have a nonprofit volunteer organization type of thing, will advertise for you too.
Yeah, and it could be a news article for the Saucon Source or whatever.
Yeah, Josh, I'm sure would run stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
For Saucon Source.
You want to contact him? You know Josh?
Yeah.
Ask him how he feels about advertising it, and then maybe we can meet again, and then,
Oh, he would do that.
What I would ask you to do, I like the idea, and we could all support that. The idea has merit. The question, and you're bringing it up, which is right on target, is how do you advertise for that, and how do you get support for it? And I think the Saucon Source is one opportunity. I think the world is on Facebook. We look at our township site. I assume the rail trail has a site, and I think all of those would be appropriate.
Yeah.
And I think you would have a good turnout. I do. And you'd have to think about what you're asking people to do. And if it's just simply moving things off to the side, or as I articulated a couple minutes ago, is it something a little more than that? This is, okay, pick up these branches and, put them in this spot for the, Roger's team to come pick up, or is there a dumpster there that we throw them in?
Yeah.
That was probably the max that we could go. Because we certainly as you said, don't want people to bring their chainsaws and start hacking
No,
away.
no, we
No.
certainly wouldn't
Too
be
much
allowed.
fun, right? Too much fun.
Certainly wouldn't be allowed.
Right. Okay, all right.
Mine's
So,
electric anyway, there's no place to plug it in.
So where are we gonna leave this? Phil is gonna contact Saucon Source,
right, and you're gonna think,
and I'm gonna pursue another direction.
you're gonna go back to that group and see if they're interested?
Well, I know they're
No?
not,
Okay.
I'm not
So we're
going
gonna move
back.
off
They're
of
not
it.
interested, I know it.
All right.
You
So,
can sense when somebody's interested,
years.
got a negative sense.
All right. Then why don't we pursue this, and then why don't you think about where else we wanna put this? Carol, we could put this on the website, the township website, right? That we're gonna have a cleanup day of the rail trail?
As long as you have all the information together.
Yeah,
Yeah, dates, we need some dates.
yeah. So let's do this.
Dates, times.
Yep, you're gonna talk about to Saucon Source. We're gonna think about putting something on the site, and then think
And
about
also
some,
Facebook.
and Facebook, yeah, think about some dates. I assume this would be, I guess you could do a weekend or an after-work thing. I would assume.
Yeah.
I would say you're gonna need a Saturday.
Saturday morning or Sunday
It's
morning,
not gonna,
probably Saturday's
it's
better.
not a big thing, I mean,
I think it'd be
God,
a
I
lot of
think
fun.
you get a
I think
dozen
it'd be fun.
people, you can take
Yeah.
care of the job, it's not,
I think you should have a rain
I-
date also.
well, you can have a rain date, but the point is, number of people, I don't think the people I see on the rail trail, I think, I'll spend an hour cleaning up and throwing branches, I don't think it's gonna be a big thing.
I'm in. Whenever you wanna do it, I'm in. I think it'll be great. All right. So we're gonna come
Can we,
back.
can we get permission from the township to post the sign? I know it's against rules to post the sign on the rail trail. Can we get permission to post the sign of some sort?
That would be through the rail trail.
Pardon me?
If you're proposing the rail trail, to put a sign on the rail trail, that would have to go through the rail trail, and I don't think they allow that.
Yeah, I know, it's a rule. That's what I meant. It's a rule that you can't do it.
So you're asking to do it.
Yes.
You have to present that to the rail trail.
Oh.
You can hang a sign on your fence.
We could put a sign in the parking lot at
You got good
Bingham.
location.
Pardon me?
We could put a sign in the parking lot at Bingham.
We can work it out. It's not, that's never.
My university fraternities for activities at my school, like, they're willing to go for community service. Like, it's kind of late now because they're probably into exams and they're out, but for next year, if you need any connections, I'll hook you up with some fraternities.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. As we talk about the parks projects, that might be very worthwhile. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Suggestion.
the invasive species identification.
Okay, let's move on. Event updates, we talked about the May 18th date, the Lower Saucon Heritage Day.
And that's only at the Hellertown, the homestead, at the Heller Homestead.
No, it's between all three of them.
But they're combining, they're not using the Lutz Franklin. She told me that. They're
No, they're-
combining with the one at the
Heller.
Heller.
All the information should be in the application, so.
Yeah, it's at the
But I'm saying
grist
that
mill
there's
and at
nothing-
the,
It's only that is the Hellertown, or the Heritage, what's it called, the Lower Saucon Heritage Day.
The Heller Homestead
Yeah.
and Hellertown Historical Society, the grist mill, I believe those are the two locations.
Okay.
Heller Homestead House and surrounding land.
Yep.
That's on their application. Okay? So we have that, May 18th, all welcome, of course. Movies in the park. Carol, did you pick these out?
The update that I have is,
They look good.
that was from the survey.
Okay. Okay.
Information from the survey.
So we have Aladdin in July, we have Zootopia in August, and The Little Mermaid. Awesome, okay.
Do you have specific
Aladdin,
dates?
Aladdin is.
I do not have dates yet. I'm at the mercy of the gentleman who is graciously donating the
Great.
screens.
But what day of the week is it, a Saturday?
It's generally a Friday.
A Friday, okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I think we agreed we try to, if we can get there as a group or as individuals, we could. I think that's great. And so that's coming up, but Carol, sounds like you're on that. That's great. Thank you very much. And then volunteer ideas, we have time on this, but just to think about ideas for National Night Out, and that's on August 6th. To think about new business, discussion, future bocce ball court at Southeastern Park or Park Valley Park.
Good idea. Someone
I like
making,
that.
I'm not sure who brought this forward.
a doll,
Okay,
what's her name? Doll?
okay.
Is she making a presentation on it? I thought, no?
I don't
Okay.
believe so, okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I'd like to learn more.
Yes, it's somebody that wants to build it, like the Eagle Scout project?
Regulation court is 13 by 91 feet. I think
You know that.
baseball's 90 feet baseline, I believe.
Okay.
He knows everything.
No,
It seems that way.
Huge.
that's why I was looking at my phone. They say you can make them any size, but that's regulation.
Well,
So help me here, this has been brought forward, Carol? Is a resident brought forward, okay.
Had
So-
inquired about it.
Okay,
But currently, there are a lot of things going on in the township, pickleball being one, and Eastern Road ball field. So those are projects that need to be completed before this is a thought. That's why we put on future.
I agree. I think that's fair. And we have the scout project. That's also underway. So we have 3 Gaga pits. So why don't we table this for now, but I think, is it fair to say we would be interested as a group in talking about this at a later time?
absolutely.
You good with that? Table this?
I'm not sure. I believe that pickleball, once they open that pickleball court up in Polk Valley, that is gonna be one hell of a well-attended area.
Agree.
Bocce ball, don't think so.
Oh,
Not like pickleball.
I think,
oh, not like pickleball, but
I think you're looking to, the word that comes to my mind is minister or
serve.
serve.
Give
A
opportunities.
different
Give
age
opportunities.
group, really. I don't think you're gonna see a lot of 16-year-old kids up there throwing bocce ball. You're gonna see people up there like me that, okay, my back's sore. I think I'd rather throw a bocce ball than jump into a Gaga pit.
You could do both, I bet.
So
Why don't-
picky.
Why don't we agree to table this, but, there is some interest, we'll say. But yeah, I think, Carol, I like your counsel that we are, we have a lot of projects, but we can come back and address this. Not a bad idea. Okay. And then Carol, the softball game I think we talked about was between Hellertown and Lower Saucon, is that?
That was Jerry.
Jerry? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So I think we could do that on National Night Out.
The softball game.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jerry, refresh my memory, the softball game was between Hellertown and Lower Saucon? What was this again?
Well, I've done some research on this. I've talked to the mayor of Hellertown about this idea. He said it's outstanding. He said this is exactly what we need.
Yeah.
He said, I can give you any cooperation you need. I said, well, right now, Parks and Rec, it's on our planning board. See, Hellertown doesn't have a Parks and Rec. They don't have an organization like we have. So he said, I said, well, I gotta take it back and talk to Parks and Rec and see if they wanna move forward. He said, if they decide to move forward, I can bring it up at our next council meeting. And our next council meeting, I think it's next Monday. So he said, just give me the feedback. But yes, the idea was to have employees of the township and of the borough, maybe even former employees. I have a call in for somebody that was a former employee that has a good rapport and a good name recognition. And if he would buy in it, I buy into it, and I think he will. I think we've got a good cornerstone of doing something. But yes, it would be a softball game for fun. It wouldn't be ringers. I mean, we don't want any Cole-type guys there.
Right.
You know,
No,
who's an outstanding baseball player. We don't want that kind of
No, you
stuff.
just wanna have a good time.
He said, I could even go as far as, he says, I can get he said, I'm very close with the athletic director at Saucon. He could do our umpiring and stuff. I said, well, we're not looking, it's not a competitive, it's just a fun time. So people, it's camaraderie and trying to bring 2 groups together that a bridge was burned, you know. It's just a first step. And he's all for it. But yeah, my idea was only to have employees. We don't want to go out to the outside. I mean, obviously, all four of us would play, obviously,
Oh, right.
you know. You know, so
Because
it's,
you're looking at a game between Howard Town, their council and their committee members.
yeah,
And then Lower Saucon.
right,
Council, committee members and employees of both, okay?
exactly.
All right. So we can't, I don't think we can make that decision ourselves. Laura, that would have to go to council? Obviously, we couldn't speak in
Why would it have to go to council? Council can approve if we're gonna have a softball game? Why would council have to approve
If
that?
council says
Doesn't wanna
there's not a
play.
lot of interest, and they say, no, we're
Council's
not
not interested,
interested,
public works people, we
it's gonna
got
be,
public.
it's gonna be hard to field a team with the 6 of us, or 7 of us. As good as
We are.
Robert is, he can't cover that much ground on the outfield anymore. Just can't get there, no offense.
So,
Back in the day. But I like the idea, I'm just looking for a process to say, okay, we like this, right? Heinzelman likes it, it's okay. We have to field a team, which is okay. So we have a couple people here, we have a few members that aren't here, we could ask Roger and his team, we can ask Lower Saucon Council. I'm just looking for to get a little more support before we commit, and I don't wanna get in a situation where we can't field a team. So I'm looking for suggestions.
I'm not sure.
I like
that-
the idea.
Well, I know we talked about before too, and I think the community day would be a good day for this.
When is Community Day?
It is in August at some point as well. I don't know if I have the date handy, but, because on the National Night Out, each community has a lot of activities going on, so people are tied up doing them.
So you think the community day might be better?
Community Day might be better. And like I said, that's down at Dimmock Park. That's August 17th. So they have a baseball field right there, a bunch of baseball fields. I don't know how.
August 7th.
We need to be able to get a field reservation, however you do that, so.
So
I don't know if you really need council approval to put together a baseball game. It's not a cost, it's not an event that it's not gonna cost anything, so,
All right.
I
well,
don't know.
so the thought that I have is that we want residents to attend this game. You know, it's not just getting the employees and board members together. We want residents from both communities to attend. And so if, like other events, we can have a food truck or a popcorn machine or a whatever, you know, that will help get the public out.
Well, that's why Community Day is good, because the public is right there, they have food, they have
A lot of those things are already
stuff
present.
going on, yeah, so it's like,
Yeah, it seems like a perfect time for it, perfect time.
People okay with this?
Yep.
All right. Jerry, run with it. Make it happen.
so we need just
Make
find
it
out
happen.
about
I
like
like
how
it.
you get a
Yep.
baseball field that you can
Be
use.
supportive. I like your idea. Run with it. Great point.
Right, and
No. Yeah, I think it's good.
So you're saying, make a reservation, well, certainly, the mayor can handle that part of it, but where are we leaving this? We're gonna go back to council and say something to them? We're gonna,
I
You didn't
can,
like
I
that
can bring it
idea.
up under my
You
reports
didn't
and talk
like that
about it.
idea, so we're not gonna do that. Matter of fact, you laughed
I
at the
mean-
idea, which is good, but.
Laura
okay,
can
but
bring
You
it-
didn't like the idea, so what I want you to do is I want you to run with it, and what I want you to do is talk to Heinzelman. I would reserve the field. I'd put work into thinking about, okay, who else is gonna be here? We have a lot of committees in Lower Saucon, so how do we communicate with them? How do we talk to the employees? How do we talk to council, not to get their approval, but just to say, hey, is there interest? It would be great if they could be there, even if they don't play. That's what I think would be good next steps. I like the idea.
well, right behind it, there's
So
our link.
I'll bring it up on
Right behind it.
reports.
There's one here for us. Right.
There's your link right
I
there.
agree.
I don't know how good I can play baseball, but you know.
That's softball. It's all fun. It's just for fun.
Just for,
Nobody's batting for average.
yeah.
Right? It's fun. I like it. I like it. So we're
So
sitting
you'll
here.
take it back to council and say that what we're proposing to do in passing?
All we're asking council to do is say, we think this is
Well,
a neat
yes,
idea.
she's just
Would
gonna
you wanna
plant the seed.
would you wanna participate?
She's gonna plant the seed.
Yeah,
She's gonna
that's
plant
all.
the seed.
That's it.
Right, Laura?
I get the impression what she's gonna do is invite them.
Yes.
Invite people, that's
Invite
exactly
them to
right.
come play baseball, that's exactly it.
You invite her, I know. Watch yourself.
Yeah, okay, is everybody okay with this? Again, more discussion if we need to.
All
I
right,
like
Laura,
the idea.
Laura, take hers on her side, and I'll work on mine on the other side. But we're looking at a tentative date, a community day, which is an outstanding day.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits of that. There seems like there's a lot of infrastructure already there.
Yeah.
And you know what, anything to, to get people out, I like the idea for the public and just have some fun and kind of extend the hand and say, hi, how are you? I think it's hard to argue with that. I think that's a good idea. Any other?
I would add to think maybe,
I like it.
I agree with the concept. I don't know if softball or wiffle ball is the avenue to go.
Okay.
I don't know if there's something less athletic that might be.
We're back to
Beer
bocce ball.
pong.
Bocce ball.
Beer pong. There you go. I don't know, that's my only thing.
That'd break down some barriers.
Well,
It's,
if somebody can't hit or can't run as fast as somebody, use pinch hitters or runners.
it's,
Well, that's what,
Who
It's a
cares
good point.
anyway?
Roll the ball instead of throwing it if the person's as slow running. I mean, just have fun.
yeah, I think it's a good point. You're right. How can we be as inclusive as possible for folks?
Yeah, they can put us at the very little league field.
That's right.
Put us at the very little league field.
We can off that. Let's give that some thought, but Jerry, I appreciate you bringing it forward, especially the work you've done with Heinzelman and team. And let's have Laura bring it to council just as an invitation, and then let's continue to talk through it. But if you would talk to Heinzelman about the reserve the field process, and if you need any help with any of this, I'd be happy to help you.
so I can tell them we're interested.
Yep. Interested on Community Day
Community Day.
on 8/17. And if we could just reserve that field if it's possible, that way we're 9/10 there. We just pray to the rain gods that it doesn't rain. We'll field a team. We'll have a lot of fun.
So Kevin, could you communicate with the presidents of the other boards to let them know that we're
Sure.
doing this and who would like to play softball?
Yeah. I think I could get those names I get the chairman of those from Carol, and I can get them on the website. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Easy peasy. No
No
problem.
one under 65, right, Bob? No one under 65, right?
Under 65.
Well, we're going with employees. Many of them are going to be under 65.
Our retirees.
All right, good discussion. We have none of our, unfortunately, junior council members are not here. Before we end, I just want to make sure anybody in the audience have anything? Any discussion points or anything? You guys have been patient and participating. I appreciate that. Anything?
Bocce balls are really big in California at all their wineries. I mean, there really doesn't take a lot to do.
Now she wants to start a winery.
No, I didn't bring the bocce ball up, but I know, my sister lives in California. Every time we go to a winery, we're playing bocce ball.
Yeah.
Probably less expensive to make than it is a pickleball court, which I don't know when that'll ever get done. Something to think about.
I think it was said, the more we can offer the residents, the better. Some people are gonna really benefit from that baseball field, and they're gonna have a lot of good times, a lot of good memories there. People are gonna be on pickleball, the rail trail, all the nice parks we talked about tonight. I think something like bocce ball would play to a certain audience, and I think it should be something we consider.
Oh,
At
an
the right time.
archery range.
Archery,
So-
all ideas are good, some better than others. So,
You're-
Yep, we
yeah,
got 'em.
they got that.
We
So.
have that.
I did have a suggestion, since you're like rolling right into it anyway, and I've thought about this for quite a while. We have not had a survey to residents for way over a decade. It's probably 2 decades of what do the public have interest in? What do they think of what we offer in the township? Do they think we have too much soccer and not enough archery, you know, stuff like that. Like, maybe we could develop a survey. We can put it on the next agenda, but maybe till then, think of some ideas of things that would be good to ask and how we could do a survey. If it would be in the newsletter, by mail. I just saw today, I got a card from the school district, so I didn't
Yep, I saw that.
I have no idea what they're surveying about, but they have a QR code on there, so that's how they're doing theirs. But I think, you know, we should really get that information from the public and see what they think, you know? Maybe they are all gung-ho for bocce ball and we don't know it.
I like the
So-
idea. I got the card as well from the school board today. And
Yeah.
it's great when people ask for people's opinions. So let's talk more about that next time. I like that. Anything else, Jerry?
Yeah, Laura, question for you. Who is the liaison for EAC?
Me,
Oh, good, I got a question for you.
tomorrow night, we have meeting.
You have your meeting tomorrow and there's an agenda item on it. We talked about the rail trail cleanup. And I mentioned it last time. Why? There's Adopt a Road program. Why can't we have an Adopt a Trail program? Pardon me?
Like if the road, you're picking up trash. Like there's, I don't ever see a lot of other than dog food maybe on the rail trail. But I never see a lot of trash.
Well, I'm sure they're throwing branches off to the side and picking that stuff up when they adopt the road. They're moving this stuff off to the side.
I think they'd have to know what they're adopting part of that trail, that it involves not trash.
Well,
physically.
you get a volunteer and if somebody says, I'm interested in this is what your responsibility is. I mean, we got to see if there's any interest, then we can determine what they can do, you know. But, you know, it has to be an interest.
Okay.
Could you do that, Laura?
Yeah, I can ask or talk about it.
How does that adopt a road situation work? How does that work?
You're responsible to pick up 2 times a year.
2 times a year.
Yeah, but how do you get on the list?
Yeah, township runs
Well,
it.
the township has the list of roads and when there's, I mean, they're all taken up right now again, I guess. So when somebody I don't know how often they come available.
Ooh, sounds like I'd have an easy time for the trail in.
They have signs up too, which you're not allowed to do at the rail trail, right?
What?
Yeah, they put up
the
signs.
Whoever's adopted this road, it says,
Yeah.
it says that who's taking charge of it. And it's pretty hard to do that on the rail trail, you know, this person or from mile 1 to mile.
I bet you
You
could
might
do it.
have to say
I bet you could do it.
Oh, I'm sure they're
You
gonna
could do
go
it.
along with that. Why would they put park benches with people's names on?
Okay, anything else for the good of the cause? All right, so
Yeah,
we're
let's
gonna
all
meet,
get-
we have some things to do, a lot of good discussion. Thank you all very much. Thanks, folks in the community for your support. We're gonna meet, May 6th at, Southeastern Pavilion, and, we'll get the agenda out. Carol, thank you very much for your help and your ongoing support. We appreciate it. Okay?
Carol, you're a miracle
Adjourned.
worker,
Thank you.
in my opinion.
Not here. We stream